Hey everybody, Red Mage here. Welcome back to my channel. It's been a while since I've done one of these haul videos, and I wasn't really planning on doing one, but then this past weekend I bought this D&D starter set for the new edition, Heroes of the Borderlands, and I wanted to do a bit of an unboxing and review of it. Not because I am super into 5th edition, and I know that my channel, most of you guys aren't really into 5th edition either. I would imagine most of you don't play it very much anymore. But I really wanted to see how they did the Keep on the Borderlands thing, and I really wanted to see how it compared to the other box sets, both for 3rd edition, 4th edition, and 5th edition that I'm familiar with. I'm familiar with those three, to more or less. And so I wanted to see how it compares to those. And right out the gate, guys, I gotta say, it's a really interesting box set. They do a lot with this. This is way more of what I consider to be a box set than something like the 5th edition one, or even, I would say, the 4th or the 3rd edition one. The 4th edition one was pretty good and pretty comparable, but even I would say this is higher production, more stuff than that. And I checked it online. With inflation, this is actually the cheapest box set that they've released, or at least it's cheaper than the 3rd edition one, which, again, relative to inflation, had less stuff than this. So that's pretty good value. And so that gave me hope that this wasn't just like a cheap cash grab, hey, let's just throw this together and see how many people buy it. Like, they really put effort into this, and I can tell. And I wanted to review it with that in mind. So I'm already going to tell you guys right now in this video, I'm not going to be bashing WotC. This is not what this good video is going to be about. I'm not going to get into the whole WotC drama or anything like that. I just really want to look at this as a product and show you guys what you get for the value. Again, just as a good benchmark for other box sets and other games that other people might be buying or thinking about. I think it's good to keep your pulse on what the main sort of thrust of D&D is doing, so that you can get a sense of what the other people are going to be doing in response and things like that. So anyway, here we go. Dungeons & Dragons starter set, Heroes of the Borderlands. Now, also a quick caveat, I'm not super familiar with the new set of rules. So I know 5th edition really, really well. I played it for many years. But I haven't looked into the new player's handbook. I haven't really followed the production of that when it was coming up, so I don't actually know a lot of the changes. I can intuit a couple of them from just this box set, but you'll have to forgive me if I get something wrong in terms of the rule set of the new 2024 5th edition, because I just haven't been playing it. Okay, Heroes of the Borderlands. First of all, the art is really good, not just on the cover, but throughout. It's digital art for the most part, but it's done in a way that feels very in-world. It feels much more, in my opinion, like the early days of 5th edition, or even back to 3rd edition, where the art was much less like... There are a couple pieces that are really over the top, but for the most part, it feels way more grounded, and that's something that I much prefer. And it makes sense. It's trying to, this is a low level, it's a starter set adventure, you're not getting above level 3 or 4, so probably it's trying to keep those expectations low. But there's really good art throughout. I was very impressed by that. And another thing that I liked about this, as we'll see, is that it actually shows art of people at the table playing the game, which is also quite good, in my opinion. If you're going to be playing an RPG, especially for the first time, and this is going to be many people's first introduction to RPGs, right? Because it is D&D, it's Dungeons & Dragons, so it's the name that people think of, and it's the starter set. So more so than a lot of other RPGs, right? A lot of other RPGs who are for new players, or they have a section that are like, how to play the game and all that. This one actually needs it, because it is probably going to be for brand new people into the hobby. Okay, so we get the starter set there. Cool piece of art there. Inside, you just get a components little page here. It's handy. A couple pages on it, and what each of them are, how to get started, and how to unbox this, what to do. That's actually pretty cool. Again, you're talking about somebody's first introduction to not just 5th edition, but to role-playing games generally. So saying what everything is in the box and how to use it, it's actually not bad. Now, I will have one piece of criticism generally for this and for a lot of WotC's products, which is, in my opinion, it doesn't really tell you how to make your own adventures. And that's a big deal. That's a big deal. So I'm going to come back to that. But, I'll come back to that. You get a bunch of pre-made characters. They're double-sided with different levels. So this is level 1. You get level 2 on the back. And it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. They're generic characters. They're not named. You're going to get cards which describe your background. You're going to get special species cards, which is, your race. They change it to species. But you're going to get a race and a background cards, and that will help you customize your characters even more. This reminds me a lot of 4th edition with those sort of pre-made cards they had early on, where you could get your characters like that. Now there are 2 sheets for every class. There's level 1 and level 2, which are just pre-made level up, and then there are 2 versions of the level 3 character with different subclasses or archetypes. And that's because at level 3, I think this is one of the changes, everybody gets their subclass at level 3 now in 5th edition, in the new version of it. And so at level 3, everybody gets a choice. What kind of cleric do you want to be? Is it a life domain cleric or a light domain cleric? And each of the classes has a choice. So you have 2 sheets per class, level 1, level 2 on the one, and then the 2 sides of the subclass on the other. You get fighters, rogues, and wizards. So the 4 base classes, you don't get any of the fancy classes here. No druids, no monks, no paladins. This is very, very straight up fighter, thief, rogue, wizard. Or fighter, I shouldn't say fighter, thief, rogue, wizard. Fighter, cleric, rogue, wizard. And they all seem, pretty standard. It's all laid out very, very easily. You'll see that you have starting cards. Oops, let me turn it here. So these are slots for cards. And this is the shape of the cards, and so there's equipment cards as you go through, and you put them on the sheet. Very easy for new players, so that they can just get the new card. And so instead of using, the chainmail, which is the base here, and they have a starting card of chainmail, so you can put that there. You can put whatever plate armor or whatever leather armor or whatever armor you have, magic plate or magic whatever special item you have, you can just replace your chain armor here with that. And so there's armor class 11. Which is when you're not wearing anything because it has a +1 dex. Or if you put your card there, it'll tell you what your armor class is, etc. So it's very, very useful in that way. It's very easy. And again, for a game that's a little more complicated than, significantly more complicated than something like Shadow Dark, having these little tips and tricks to get you playing the game right away as quickly as you can is actually pretty nice. I think the overall effect of this starter set will feel much more board gamey than not. That's kind of interesting because I think a lot of the 5th edition movement has been towards more narrative play. This feels much more like board gamey, Hero Questy. And I'm actually a fan of that. I like that way better than just strict narrative, just strict role-playing where fights are, it's just not the same sort of game. This feels much more kind of what I imagined 5th edition was going to feel like early on. But that makes sense because low-level 5th edition is very similar to a lot of old-school games, actually. And this only goes up to level 3. Okay, so you get tokens. Lots and lots of tokens. These are gold piece tokens, which is interesting. From 1 to 25 gold, and so your character's going to get a lot. You're going to pop them out, and your character's going to get actual tokens to say how much gold there is. And there's a lot of randomized treasure. So there's a lot of pick a random card from the equipment list, or pick a random magic item from the magic item list, right? It'll just say draw a card. And I imagine, I haven't looked at this in detail, it'll say, take 5 tokens from the gold piece pile, and that's how much gold you find, or something like that, right? So you have sort of randomized gold, or you could do it that way. You have to put it in a bag or something because they're double-sided. But still, I think that's pretty cool. It's kind of an odd thing to include, gold piece tokens. That's one of the things I wouldn't have thought of, but yeah, I guess it's cool. Really quickly before I get to all that, here you have your power or hit point tokens, power tokens, crystal gem tokens here at the bottom. I don't know what power tokens are. I think that's a new addition to the 5th edition game. I think certain powers trigger certain times a day or whatever. You can recharge your power tokens. It feels very board gamey. Again, like I said, way more away from 5th edition and the idea of actually physically having your tokens here. I guess that's cool. Again, it's very visual. It's very clear for brand new players. And these are all, you can poke them out, little heart pieces and bigger heart pieces. Feels very, very good. I like it. It's also, by the way, these tokens are pretty high quality. It's not just cardboard. They're glossy. They feel pretty good. Here are sheets of monsters and little monster tokens. And you have little standees down here if you want the monster to stand up, which is really cool. That's really cool. Mostly they're going to be flat, but then for the bigger monsters or for anybody, you can have them have these little, I think that's standees. I actually don't know what those are now that I think about it, because they're not going to stand up straight because they're just flat. I don't know. maybe I'm unclear about what those are. I am unclear about what those are. But regardless, you have nice little tokens here. And you've got classics like the gelatinous cube. You've got the troll or minotaur. You've got giant spiders, an owlbear, a couple giant spiders, ogres. Got sturges, cultists, bandits, goblins, hobgoblins. It's good. a good selection of creatures. Not just because these are all the ones you find in the starter set, but you could use these for a long time after. So again, decent 2-pack set of creatures. Then you get some more miscellaneous tokens like magic items, terrain tokens, and some player tokens. Right? Some player tokens, some character tokens, I should say. You got a selection of different species now, they call them. Humans, dwarves, elves, and halflings. This is the base 4. You're not dealing with Aasimar, you're not dealing with tieflings, you're not dealing with all of that. It's the standard races and classes from D&D of old, of yore. Double-sided. Again, you've got different colors and things on the one side or the other. Pits and stuff like that. Okay, so good tokens. Now we get to some of the other interesting things. I'm actually going to open this up. Now, by the way, I should have said this early on. This box is heavy. When you open it up, it's got a ton of stuff, as you can see. Lots of little booklets, and it is surprisingly heavy. All right, so one of the things that I found really interesting was that you get like these sort of, I guess they would be in-world documents. They're basically like signs that players can find up on the board in town with like actual equipment that they can buy, how much they cost, and what they can buy there. You get sacred services, and again, this is what you're going to hand to the players so that they can see. So it actually has handouts of what you're going to find in town. The Drunken Dragon menu, provisions for sale and what you can buy there, as well as a letter that you can give them from the Castellan, I believe. So a really interesting set of handouts. That's kind of cool, right? I mean, they're you might say like, why are they on here? Right? Like, I mean, why do you have a menu, or why do you have this? But actually, that's something that we see a lot of GMs online doing, giving simple handouts like menus to the players so they have something physically in their hand. It gets them into the mindset of the game a bit more easily. And I know Matt Colville does that, for example. He has a list of food and drink that his players can buy, especially for brand new players when they start off at an inn. So that's cool. It's got a bunch of stuff there. Then you have the maps, and this whole thing are fold-out maps, and it's a whole bunch of different ones. Again, I'm really impressed by this. There's outdoor maps. There's maps of the dungeon itself. They're big. They're high quality. They've got grids. They've got really good art on them. You can see I mean, you guys can't see too well here, but they've got, it kind of has this like old school 80s look, which I'm all about. It's the whole thing is nostalgic. It's like, hey, recapture the 80s. And I think they're trying to play up on the whole Stranger Things, but the color palette feels old school. It doesn't have that like kind of like hyper realistic look that they tried to go for in the 3rd edition, 4th edition era, where things were like the maps looked, you know, sometimes the water looked too real and things like that. Like it didn't end up looking very good because it kind of had this, I don't know, I never really liked those hyper real map tokens and those map sets. This looks 80s. This looks AD&D to me. It looks good, really good. I don't know. I mean, when I saw these maps, I was kind of sold. I was like, oh my goodness, this changes the whole box set in my mind. You have a whole bunch of them for all the different caves. So Cave F, Cave H, all the different caves for the keep on the Borderland. You have the snake cult there. You've got a map of the keep itself and the surrounding wilderness, which is also awesome. You can show the players. And oops, let's not rip this. Here we go. You've got the map of the wilderness here. Pretty cool. You've got the keep over here. Got the caves of chaos up here at the top. You can't really see them too well. You've got the fens down here. It's the classic map, but it's done in a really cool style. So that's great. And again, you have some more caves map. This is the map of the whole caves of chaos, the whole outside. You can show this to the players, and they can have the map on the table. It's also got KV on the back, but you've got Caves of Chaos. Now, I'm not as big a fan of the actual Caves of Chaos map as the rest of it, but it looks good. And you've got little things here, and the caves look different. Like the entrances look different, so there might be a reason for the players to pick one or the other. Like, I'm very impressed. Again, like I said, I have to say, like, say what you will about Wizards of the Coast, and there's a lot to say about them. Believe me, I don't play 5th edition. I have no particular loyalty to them at this point, but they did a good job on this box set. They've got external maps, trail maps for encounters out there, with like maps of the road. You've got maps of the wilderness, woods maps, so that you can have battles with a grid out in the I just use these maps for your own games. Again, really high quality. I'm again just super impressed, I gotta say. And it all kind of comes in this little thing. It's got little tabs here to help keep it in. Just a funny little, but it actually works. I mean, they can slide out certainly, but it keeps it in place. This is the highlight right here. I mean, the fact that it comes with not just one map or a generic map or like, you know, the big boss fight cave, but it comes with a map of every single cave, the whole surrounding area. The caves have this beautiful style. They look 80s. They look nostalgic to me. They feel old school. They're not hyper realistic. They fit with the look of all the different tokens and things. Really good. Honestly, really good. Now, you get several booklets here. Booklets for the play guide, how to play this new edition of the game. You have adventure for running adventures in the wilderness. You have the Keep of the Borderlands itself, and then you have the Caves of Chaos. So you have a little booklet for each of the different things you might be running. And again, the art looks great. Here's the Caves of Chaos art. It looks really good. Get a sense of the scale. You can just show your players this to give them a sense of the scale. You got the Keep on the Borderlands. Once again, it looks good. It's pretty digital. It's pretty. It's not in the style of like the 80s look that you get in some of the books, but it's good. And then you get the wilderness as well with these lizard men here. So I'm not going to go through them in too much detail. I'll show you guys a little bit of the play guide. You get the basically breakdown of this book and how to use the cards, all of that stuff, the monsters. You have a little comic book up here with like just a visualization of what's going on. I mentioned this before, but you get these. I think they're great. So you have an image of, you can't really see with the light here, it's just my camera. But you get an, yeah, how can I do this? There we go. That's a little better. You get at the top an image of what they're seeing, or what they're imagining. And then down below you get what it looks like to play at the table. And again, for kids or for brand new players, people who don't know what they should be doing, like are you supposed to be, what are you supposed to be doing here? Are you dressing up? Like what is this game? You get images of what it looks like. And again, that might be silly because no group's going to look the same. Every group's going to do their own thing. But for brand new people, which this is aiming at, that's not a bad thing. Here's like another example of that, right? You have one guy getting super into it. He's like, got his sword, his character sheet in his hand. The rest of the characters are kind of more hanging out. This guy's standing up with his holy symbol, which is like it's good. You have some incidental art at the top of some pages, which is really good. It's more sketchy, it's more gritty. I wish more of the art were like this, honestly. It's only a handful of pages throughout the books, but it looks really good when you see it. Okay, you get some more, and it's a description of what's on those pages, so that's pretty cool. Mostly, again, the play guide it's not full of art, but it just has enough to get you into it, and it tells you what you're doing. Again, I'm not going to go through these adventure booklets. I'm not going to cover them because I haven't read through them, so I can't comment too much on how the adventure runs. I have read a little bit through the Caves of Chaos, and it seems pretty much the Caves of Chaos. I mean, it's pretty much that. There's some extra additions, but it's really well done. And there's a lot of connectivity between them. There's a lot of good tips for how to run them, again, for brand new players. Now, what else does this have? I'm going to set these aside really quickly. What else does this come with? Well, it comes with cards. Here are your spell cards and tool cards and background cards and race cards and all that, or I should say species cards. And they're all, I haven't opened them up yet, but they're all in, they get a whole bunch of cards. You get NPC and equipment cards. So once again, you have NPCs and you can show the players the NPCs and actually, have pictures for them. That's two big stacks of cards. You have this, which is a combat tracker. Again, the light here is not so good, but it's a combat tracker. And, it is what it is. Combat in 5th edition is not easy. But it's nice that it has there's a whole bunch of them. Yeah. And then you get rules cards. On your turn, what do you do? Can't really see here. And you have monster cards with art on the back, but again, I haven't opened it up. So you have packs of monster cards so that you can have these, and they have all the stats, traits, and everything on the back in one little card. Very useful if you're going to be running a game quickly. You can just bring the cards that you need and have them right in front of you. It's about as quick as it's about as efficient as you could have with 5th edition. Then you get some dice, and it's a good pack of dice. Again, I haven't opened it, but you can see you get 2 D20s, a D100, D12, D8, D4, and 46. So it's a pretty good pack of dice. Standard set plus additional. And then you get a whole bunch of extra bags. You can't really see what those are, but those are bags for when you get the tokens out. And then it comes with a little box, and then that's the end. So as you can see, it's surprisingly big. I keep saying that, but I was shocked by the amount of stuff in this book. Very impressed by it, I have to say. Very impressed that they really went above and beyond. Even just this is rather heavy. The cards are quite thick, it seems like. It's good quality stuff. It's a high quality. The box itself is sealed up with this nice plastic, and it is a rather thick-ish cardboard, so the box itself seems rather heavy-duty. The corners don't look like they're going to be breaking open anytime soon. So I have to say, by far the best 5th edition product I've seen, period. I mean, I would say that includes anything from the early days of 5th edition when I was super excited about it. This is a better product, more value than basically any other D&D 5th edition thing. I think they're really, really trying, guys. Now, say what you will about the company, say why they're trying. You can comment all you want about that, and I think there's plenty to be said for that. I'm not a big fan. I don't think this is going to bring me back to 5th edition. In fact, it's not. I might run this with my nephews, though, just to try out the new edition, just to try out and see how things are different now with this new version of the game. And they still play 5th edition, so I think they'd be open to it. I'm not going to probably run it with any of my other groups, but I would run this. I want to try this, see how it works out, see how it feels to play it. There we go. That's the right. Yeah. Now, what's my big complaint with this? My big complaint is that there's no advice that I could find in any of the books for how to make your own games. There aren't tables, there aren't stuff like that. This is very clearly learn how to play the game and then come and buy the rest of our stuff. So, this is a complete play experience. This is a complete game. You could play this on its own with all of these extra stuff. You could play it quite easily, quite well for quite a long time. And I think you could have a lot of fun. There's a wilderness you could add to it. It wouldn't be that hard to expand. So I don't think that it's super limiting either. But what you get from this adventure is very clearly it's part of the WotC ecosystem, right? You're going to get this, you're going to play it, you're going to be interested, and then you're going to have to buy their books and buy their adventures to continue to play this game. This does not say, hey, here's a book of random tables to create your own adventures. Right? That's just not in the mindset of the people who are making and playing these games. They're not going to release that sort of thing, right? They're not going to include a box set with rules for skipping their stuff, for ignoring their future releases. I think that's a mistake. I think that's the way that you make the game better is you make GMs who are independent and who are interested in being independent, who have fun being independent and making their own games and using your adventures when they want, but for the most part are not focused on that. Let's refocus the camera here a little bit. There we go. So, as a box set, as a starter set, this is amazing. As a standalone adventure, as a standalone product, this is really, really good. But it fits with my general criticism of 5th edition products, really D&D products for a long time, and that is that they don't teach you, they don't prepare you to run your own games at your own table, making up your own stuff. They just don't. None of them do. None of them have. Now, again, I haven't read the new Dungeon Master's Guide. I haven't read the new Player's Handbook. I haven't read the new Monster Manual. So it might have changed in the newest edition. I doubt it. I have to say, I doubt it, but it could have. But Witches of the Coast, as a company, is not releasing a one-off product that they want you to then develop your own thing for. They want to draw you into their ecosystem, which means buying their books, buying their adventures, running games in their thing. And this is in that vein. It's not likely to get you to the point where you can run your own games. Especially because they do sort of set the bar pretty high. If you were going to run your own games from here, you kind of expect that you have to create, actual play mats for your players. You'd need tokens and monster tokens, and you'd need cards, and you'd need art for your NPCs, and you'd need the bar is pretty high. And so if you think this is what D&D is, you might be a little bit disappointed when you try to get into another RPG and it's like, here's the core rulebook, and now imagine the rest, right? So I think you could argue with the execution in terms of its overall philosophy, which I am here. But in terms of the execution of this philosophy, in terms of the execution of this style of gameplay, this is by far the best. Again, I say that, I don't think I'm wrong. I think this is the best starter set. This is the best product that 5th edition has released. Okay, well, that's the box set that I wanted to review here, the haul here. I'm going to cover some of the other stuff that I have, but I think many of you are probably just interested in that, so we'll leave that aside for now. A couple other things that I got, which I really like. This is a cool little playmat I got. I kickstarted it. It's signed by Richard Kane Ferguson, who is one of the artists for Magic the Gathering. He did a bunch of playmats for, you can play Magic on it, or you can do whatever else you want. And I kickstarted it, so I got this really beautiful. It's very kind of abstract, but I got this. I'm really happy with it. It finally came. I kickstarted it like a year or two ago. Finally came, and it's really, really pretty. And then I also got this. This is my new mouse pad, my new Shovel Knight. You got, from my perspective, Shovel Knight's on the bottom, Shield Knight's at the top, and you've got Castle over here. You guys can't really see. You've got the moon over here. It's just this beautiful, like, stained glass window effect. I love it. It's really, really cool. And it's my new mouse pad, but it's also it's a good space for designing things. All right, so more of the haul stuff. These are some big, little bit squishy dice that I got, D6s. They're more for 40k than for anything else, because you can indicate your CP, your command points, easily just to the other players, see how many you have left. So I got them for that, and I like green because I'm Necrons and they're often green, so got those. And then I got these, which are, of course, I've actually reviewed them on the channel before. These are the Dicenest Gem Dice, which I have reviewed before. I really like them. I have to say, since the review, I've gotten to like them even more. Oops. They're really pretty, and they feel really nice in the hand. I roll them in this dice tray because they're gem. You don't want to roll them off the side. They're really, really nice. They haven't scratched up or cracked yet. There's a little bit of scratching because they scratch each other. But it's not bad. You can't really tell unless you look really, really close. But the dice look beautiful. So that's my one set. And then the other that I just bought are Dragonscale Dice. And these are metal dice, but they're designed to look like dragon's scales. And they have this really nice scaly texture. And they're heavy and pointy and sharp. I love them. They're really cool and they're really nice. I got these on Etsy. I'm always looking for new dice. Every time I go to my friendly local game store, I buy new dice, and every so often I'll go on Etsy and just search dice, and I'll scroll around until I find a cool set, and then I'll buy them. And I got these ones, so they're really cool. Those are my new dice that I got. I'm pretty happy with both sets, and I've been alternating between them for my games. I'll roll these ones sometimes and these ones sometimes. Yeah, it's great. I like to have two sets of dice, that way I can alternate. Okay, other stuff that I got really quickly. So I backed Cloud Empress, the new edition of the book, which is a cool ecological science fantasy RPG. And I also backed one of their side things. And the main books haven't come yet. They're not coming until January, I think. But these are just some zines that come along with it. Got a little badge here. And they're sort of secondary little zines. They're cool. I want the main book. The art's great. But, it's kind of like having the supplemental stuff without the main thing. I kind of want the main thing. So these came, and they're cool. But I'm not going to really review Cloud Empress until I get the whole set again. So that's one thing. The other is Mazes, which is a player's handbook. This is not ripped. It's designed to look old and sort of worn. This is the player's handbook for the Mazes RPG, which I have reviewed on the channel before, Mazes. This is like a player's supplement for it with more classes and things like that. It's cool. It's very straightforward. It's very small. Not very small. I shouldn't say that. It's 70, 80 pages. And it's cool for the Mazes RPG. If you're interested in the Mazes RPG, you can check out my review. I would say that if you have the Mazes RPG, you should get this. if you have no idea what mazes is or you're not interested in it at all, it's specifically for this one system, and it has, I would say, almost no utility beyond it. There's nothing in this that would appeal to somebody who doesn't play the game Mazes. So I would say skip it. Obviously, there's no need to get into it unless you're interested in mazes, in which case then you should get this. Handbook for the player. Useful for that one game, but it's specific to that one game. It doesn't have, random tables like that. I was sent by the creator. I did a review of Drak Borgen, The Secret of Ungol, and the creator reached out and said, I would love to give you a physical copy as a thank you for the review. And I included this on my top 10, and I was like, wow, awesome, thank you so much. So after the fact, he sent me this as a thank you, and it's so cool. The construction is great. It has a nice texture to it. It's heavy. There's a nice ribbon. And the book is gorgeous, just like the PDF. Very, very excellent. It's got a little thank you page. I forgot to take that out in the front. Yeah, very, very good. If you guys can afford to get this shipped, I would highly recommend it if you're interested in running this, because it's so nice to have this at the table. And it looks so pretty. Oh my goodness. The texture of the pages is nice and old. It has this parchment look to it, but it's clear. The font is good. No, it's one of those books that is, well, because of the high quality, it's a stitch-bound book. So I expect it to last pretty much forever, right? It's a really good, really high quality book. And it came with the map that I love so much, my favorite map, which is really high quality to paper as well. It's nice. I'm going to put this up on my wall. I have a bunch of RPG maps up on my walls. And I'm going to put this one up there as well. So good. Again, if you guys are interested in The Secret of Ungol, I recommend you reach out to him or try to find it in physical form, because this is such a good quality book. It's like I was saying, sometimes you get the PDF and you're like, wow, this is just such a good PDF, and then you get the physical book and it's just kind of like cheap and it's just a flat book or something like that. And I honestly kind of expected that. I was like, oh, yeah, sure, send it to me. That'd be great. I expected kind of print-on-demand quality or something. But no, this is a full-on production. This book is delightful. Very, very well constructed. Grot Crawl. That's the company. Also came with some stickers. Now one of those stickers is on my desktop, my tower. Awesome. So thank you to the creator for sending that. That was so cool. Okay, a few more things. I have finally, the Tomb of a Thousand Doors finally came. Now this is something that I kickstarted. It's a mega dungeon for Mouse Ritter, and I kickstarted it like 2.5 years ago now, I think. Maybe 1.5 years ago. It's been a while. And it came with a whole bunch of stuff. Now, it's essentially, it's a Tomb of a Thousand Doors. It's a big mega dungeon divided into a bunch of little dungeons, each of them created by a different person. And then, so they all were created in different styles, but some of them are punky, some of them are more traditional, some of them are really basic, some of them are more complex and advanced. And then the creator took them all, and he wrote a bunch too, but then he put them all in the same style with the same art and created a huge mega dungeon out of them. And it's great. They're basically standalone adventures, but you can link them together if you want. It's great art throughout. It's a big book with awesome 2-page spreads for dungeons. Very often 2-page spreads for dungeons. It's not always in that sort of a console layout, but it often is. Here's the dungeon a little bit more closely. You can see it's made up of a whole bunch of little, maybe 3 to 5 rooms. Some of them are a little bigger. Some of them aren't actually on here. They have like extra dimensional space and they go down below or whatever. And so it's a very interesting, it's more like you're going to be playing this adventure and then you're going to be playing that adventure and then you're going to be playing that adventure. And it feels much less like one coherent full place. But there's been a lot of work that's been done to make it feel like that, with some factions that go between different rooms and different areas, and the art and the presentation has a little ribbon here. The art and the presentation is really, really good. It also came with a bunch of extra stuff, like this little fold-out dungeon. And then it has a bunch of character sheets, which I have not yet actually removed from their packaging. But a whole bunch of character sheets so that you have lots and lots of disposable mice. Lots of people are going to be going in, very few are going to be coming out. And then you get these, which are the little tokens, which I imagine you probably want to scan them, or, you could cut them out. Just like take a scissors and cut them. I wouldn't do that. I'd probably scan them and then, or just take the PDFs that I have, print those off, and then cut those up. But you have this here if you want to scan more. So you have physical copies of them. So it's really cool. Tomb of 1,000 Doors is a really great mega dungeon. I'm finally glad that I finally got it. And it's got some great ideas throughout it. So even if I don't ever run it, I definitely want to steal from it. Really cool. Very, very high quality. Okay, so we're getting down to the end here. Getting close to the end. Just a couple more, really. One is Obojima, which is something that, again, I kickstarted a while back. This is also for 5th edition, so this is kind of a 5th edition haul today. Now, this book is huge and heavy. This book feels so heavy because the quality of the paper, I think, is quite thick. It's all glossy, and it all has a big feel to it. Anyway, Obojima it's Tales from the Tall Grass. Essentially, it's a setting inspired by Ghibli and The Legend of Zelda, in particular, Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, which themselves were inspired by Ghibli. So it's a very Ghibli-friendly setting, Obojima. I'm sure you guys have heard of it, or many of you have heard of it. It's a really delightful setting. It has that beautiful sort of anime, Ghibli-ish style art. Beautiful art throughout. I mean, it's really evocative. Very strange at times. I haven't done justice to the setting yet in terms of I haven't read through it in full detail. But there's a ton of ideas here. The presentation of the pages is really cool. Like this, for example. Here's a little mixtape. And this is the timeline of the, or like an old cassette tape. And this is the timeline of Obojima. Some great ideas there. A creature, and then you have some vending machines there. There's this really interesting contrast. It's just very, very fun and delightful. There we go. A little cat sitting on some jack-o'-lanterns. So I'm really looking forward to reading through this book in a bit more detail, but it's huge. And as I said, the pages are all very glossy. You have great adventures, great locations, great monsters. Now, it's 5th edition, and it's balanced around 5th edition. But you could easily adapt it to your setting of choice, to your game of choice, because, 5th edition can be translated pretty quickly to Shadowdark, and then you can translate that to any old school game. So it also has a map at the back. It's a pretty simple map. The map of the island, I think, it feels like a video game map, in that it kind of has this, like, I don't know. It just looks very simple. I'm going to pull out the whole thing here. It just doesn't really strike me as, I don't know, I think it could have been done in a more flavorful way. It's just very, very, like, it's focused on being usable, which is fine, but it doesn't quite have the same flair that the rest of the book has. I think it could have been done in the style of like a traveler's map, or like a what would you call that? Like a zoo map, when you go to a map to a zoo and it puts like a little map together, and it has, I think something like that would have fit this world really, really well. But anyway, Obojima, again, I'm going to read through it at my own pace, and yeah, this is great. Really happy. Again, I kickstarted this, and then finally got it. Most of this stuff is stuff I kickstarted, as you guys can tell. All right, I'm going to put this stuff away really briefly and show you the very last thing I got, which is an RPG. Very strange RPG here. And that is the Welcome to Nightvale role-playing game. Now, I honestly don't even know, I haven't even opened this yet. I just got this. Welcome to Nightvale, if you guys don't know, it's a fake podcast, or a fake news podcast. Or I shouldn't say it's a fake podcast. It's a real podcast. But the premise of the podcast is that it's set in this fake, like, what would you say, fake town somewhere called Nightvale. And there's all of these, like, supernatural events that are occurring. But it's all done in, like, public service announcements and, like, weather reports. And it's done in, like, this very, like, local radio station way. And it's just got this guy with a very soothing voice talking about, oh, today the elders met together at the library for their bake sale. And it's like, and slowly but surely over the course of the episodes, you develop this whole lore for this weird world with, like, science fiction-y aliens and extra dimensional creatures and, men in black and all this stuff. And I think it's set in New Mexico. And so it's kind of like Roswell or something like that. But it's this really funny radio program. And again, it's a podcast. I don't know if it's still active. I don't think it is. It might be. But regardless, again, like I said, I haven't even taken the plastic off the case yet. But it came with a whole bunch of stuff. So you have these, this is like the dice tray and dice rollers and all the extra things here. You have some cool sets, so it's D20s, D12. It's like a very standard set of dice. You get the white and the black. And then you have sort of like top secret, you know, envelope with all of the different things in here. You get here different threats, pre-generated characters, art prints, and things like this. And so you get pre-generated characters, pre-generated threats that you have to overcome. I honestly don't even know how to play the game. I haven't opened it yet. I haven't read through it yet. I just saw it on Kickstarter, and I was like, I need that because I loved the Nightvale podcast. I didn't even listen to the whole thing. This is like one of those just weird random niche things that I have an interest in. Happened to see a Kickstarter for it, backed it, or it was on BackerKit, I think. I don't even know if it was on Kickstarter. But I just jumped into it, and now I got it, and I'm like, okay, awesome. Who am I going to play this with? Like, I don't think anybody else knows about Welcome to Nightvale, at least nobody in my gaming groups. I mentioned it to my one gaming group, and they all blinked at me. They were like, what? So I don't even know if I'm ever going to play this. There are people that I know. When I lived in Dallas, I had a gaming group there that they would have gone nuts for this because that's where I first got into it. There was a group of people down there, and they were all super into it, and we listened to it on like road trips and stuff like that. And so if I were still there and I had that group still, then I think, man, we would have played this like crazy. But now that I'm not there anymore, and I don't play with many of those people anymore, really any of those people anymore, not online or anything, that I think I could contact them and be like, hey guys, I got this Welcome to Nightvale. I know we haven't hung out in a while. I know we haven't played games in a while, but we totally should for this. I wonder, I could probably get that group together again. Anyway, I just thought this was really funny. At some point, I might get in a little bit into it a bit more and, you know, do an actual review if I end up liking it. But it's one of those, it's super obscure, it's super niche. I tend to get those in physical form if I find them. Like I got the Zorro RPG, which I reviewed on a haul a while back. I got that, you know, like PG Wodehouse Flabbergasted RPG, which I reviewed in a haul a while back. You know, and people are like, those are so niche and they're so specific that most people are not interested in them. But so when I find those things, I try to get them in physical form as like collector's items. Because the PDF, I really only, you know, a PDF isn't really a collector's item. You just have it and you just, you know, whatever. But like as a physical RPG, this is something that I'm glad that I own. All right, so I'll put links below to where you guys can find out more about all of the things that I've reviewed today or talked about today in this haul. But primarily, as I said, this was mostly about the 5th edition, the new 5th edition 2024, whatever, box set. So that's the primary thing here. All right, guys. Well, I hope this has been interesting to everyone, and I'll see you all in another video.